Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, trophy hunters of all ages. This is the 33rd episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast.
Wee!
I'm your host, CJ, a.k.a. the Solo Gamer, a.k.a. the Trophy Hunter. And I'm joined by Batman, a.k.a. Mr. Clothing Option himself, a.k.a. Mr. Dragon's Milk, a.k.a. Big D.
Ooh!
a.k.a. the Gamer.
Hello.
And I'm joined, as always, by the hot take Twitter beat making gamer mediocre himself, Woodsy, a.k.a. Matt.
What's up?
We thank you, the listener, for tuning in to all of our rarest takes in the gaming podcast here. As always, we bring you all of our own unique takes on all things video games, all while recording and publishing our episodes edit-free. We bring you the podcast to all the listening staples every Tuesday. You can find the show on Apple, Spotify, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Anchor. And if you want to see the Ugly Mugs for whatever reason, and see Woods' dog, and see Dee's cat,
I thought,
see my brewski, you can check us out on the YouTube channel, Rockets Gaming.
I thought that was going somewhere else.
I'm trying to check myself like mid-sentence a couple times tonight. I was going to say something else about Woodsy, but then I checked myself.
Dog.
So, this week, as always, we'll get into what we've been playing this week in gaming. Maybe a little what you've been smoking update.
Woo!
And, we'll see from there.
All right.
So, that leads me into Big D.
It's me.
What you been playing?
Me! Well, I've actually got some crazy updates this week. So, me and the boy, we just got done today with our 100% and platinum on the old Astros Playroom. So, we got Jake asking lots of questions on chasing trophies in other games. So, might have a trophy hunter on our
Uncle
hands.
CJ.
Yeah. So CJ, did you guys do the 100%? Did you do the extra shit with the speed run? Okay.
So we've just done. Hannah's done a few of the speedrun levels. We haven't done it. We're like trying to get under the 7 minutes or whatever it is. That's pretty impressive that you guys got that one, because that one is
Well, when we first did it today, so we just did all 8, and then we went back and did like 4 of them. That's the third time.
Whatever the 7 minute mark, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. So there's 8 levels, and you have to get under 7 minutes for the 8. And so it's not all that bad. So, and like I said, Jake and I we tag team.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Kind of like it because there's no bad guys in those levels, so you just go in and fiddle farting around in there and whatnot.
And then I had him going on the old Fruit Ninja VR. So that was pretty funny. It's actually pretty funny. That's a pretty good game. I busted out Pistol Whip VR because I bought that last week when it was on sale, and my God, everyone, if you've got a VR, go get that shit for like $8 or whatever it is. It is super fun. So they modeled it in the way of like a John Wick. So it's really just these levels with dudes that are slightly better rendered than Super Hot, but still just anomalous polygons. But the whole thing is to EDM, and then you get points for shooting people on beat. Like the bullets are coming at you on beat, so your ducking and shit is all on beat. Like it is super cool, because then you get like into the tunes that are blasted, and you're like dipping while the bass is going, and then you're blasting on the bass, and it's pretty, dude. It is a ton of fun. And then
blasted in the face?
Blasting everything in the face, just psh, 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 everywhere. Just you can't even stop it. It's just going all over,
like bukkake style.
Yeah. Just keeps going. And the customization is crazy. So all the options, it just opens it up right away. So you want to dual wield, you want to do this, you want to do that, whatever you want this thing to be in Pistol Whip, it lets you do, like right off the bat. You don't have to unlock anything. You don't got to do anything. You just go right into the options, and you set it all up the way you want to play it. Ton of
I know
fun.
the game's called Pistol Whip. Do you get different guns
Yes.
in there?
There, and also no unlocking in that either. So
Yeah.
you just go into your gun case, and there's I want to say there was like 6 different styles of gun, and then you get to pick the cosmetics that are on it and the color, and then the sound too, which I thought was great, because you went from like the you can go anywhere from like bitch gun sound, like pachoo pachoo, and then all the way through like Desert Eagle, like realistic, kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And then obviously that's where I went. So I was like, oh man, that sounds fucking tasty.
Give me the man cannon.
Yeah, shit, yeah. Give me a bigger gun. But no, super good time. I played through a bunch of the arcade mode. I haven't dug into campaign, but super sweet.
There is a platinum trophy for that game.
No kidding. Well, I suppose they mostly all have them. I should look up what that is.
I mean, you'd be surprised. There's some game like sometimes there's this whole like submission process where you submit your trophy list, and then PlayStation will decide if you deserve a platinum or not. And sometimes they'll say no, you don't deserve a platinum, and games will be like okay, and then just not. But I've heard that if you push back a bit and say no, we need a platinum, then PlayStation will put it in there.
Weird.
This one does. Looks like there's 25 trophies, and there's a 0.7% achieval rate on PlayStation.
That sounds right.
You pistol whipping a lot of folks if you want that platinum.
And then the 3 of us and our good friend Fuck You Ryan went in and did part 2 of the raid in Ghost of Tsushima.
Bird it.
We got halfway? We got about halfway.
So,
Yeah, maybe a third. We made it through the first couple jumping puzzles, and we got to the second round of Soul Wells, and it ended there. So
Crashed hard that night. I got tired.
well, and we knew that there was a long road ahead of us yet, because what was kind of neat was it was a lot of the same mechanics that we had done. They just fucking exponentially amped them up, which was, I guess, unexpected from my end. I did not anticipate them being amped up that far from the first one, as far as the jumping puzzles and even we were getting into that Soul Well challenge, and as I was
Soul
reading
Well
on
was
that,
tough,
yeah, there's a whole thing where you've got to kill people standing in the well, but then when you're doing that in the big one, you guys saw the corruption comes. So what you have to do is you have to beat that timer that's 3 or 5 seconds before you get the drain, and the guy in the middle basically runs to one of the little Soul Wells, and then that person runs to the big one and then restarts his corruption timer, and then that's how you gotta play that one.
And this is just a second raid. I can imagine.
Yeah, there's
when
a
they
third one.
up. But man, I'll say this. We definitely came into that raid prepared. More so than the first one, because we knew okay, well, when we come to these platforms, we know that we're gonna come across them and not be able to see them.
That's true.
So
the communication was better.
And we had some on-point communication. We had to do some jumping puzzles where I was like, all right, now everyone has to jump at the same time. And I don't think we died once from that crap. We did a
That's
good
true.
job, timing our shit, and we all jumped right. And you were the one that was calling shit out, so you were on point with that. So
yeah, and I was the hunter, so I was trying to free people from the bubbles and shit too.
Yeah. So the bubbles coming, so you'd shoot us free and all that shit. That was freaking on point too. So I think we did come in much more prepared. But you're right, man. That Soul Well thing of but that was also the end of the night when I was just.
Yeah, we were like, I'm okay now.
But then fuck you, Ryan. You're supposed to do it last night, and he hoed down. So.
Ryan, he's the worst.
Move back home, Ryan.
Yeah, move back to Minnesota. There's nothing to do except play video games. That is what I have. Woodsy. Oh yeah, we played. Oh yeah, he's got it.
Woodsy. Some stuff here. First, I was just about to tweet out that the new poll is going to go live here very shortly.
Ooh.
So the games that will be on the poll,
Oh!
we're going to do a PS console exclusive themed go around this time.
Very nice.
And the games featured on this poll will be Spider-Man Miles Morales, Death Stranding. I know it's a repeat, but I don't give a fuck. I still kind of want to play that game. Uncharted Lost Legacy, and oh shit, what was the fourth one? Damn it, I got it.
Did you put it up already?
I accidentally just fucking deleted the tweet as I was talking to you guys. So
Have you played?
I got to pick the fourth one.
Have you played Heavy Rain? That was one of the ones I think I suggested.
No, there's did I say?
Just Spider-Man. Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Oh, Final Fantasy VII. So
Shit,
the remake. So that was the fourth one. Sorry. So that poll will be back up here in a second when I don't have to stop talking and being distracted. But been playing a lot of good stuff this week. Played probably my other than the Ghost of Tsushima D was talking about. Probably my favorite thing I actually did play this week was a game, the demo for Outriders.
Oh yeah.
Which it was pretty interesting. It's almost like a Destiny meets Gears of War meets The Division, sort of. And the demo's out, and it's pretty cool because you'll get to carry forward all of your progress in the main game from the demo. Should you like to buy it?
And that is such. Sorry to interrupt. That is such a good mechanic to carry over your progress. Oh my god.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's great because it definitely encourages, your consumers to want to be like, you know what, I'll continue this, and even if they don't want to necessarily continue it straight away for like $60 or $70, whatever the fuck it is, they will jump on that train probably eventually. If they're just looking at something for cheap to buy that they know they've already given some love to. So, yeah.
You don't have to play through the same bullshit opening again, because
Right.
It's cool the first time, but you don't want to run through it again and go, oh my god, I did this already.
And I've been trying to upsell it to CJ here quite a bit because it is, it's made by Men Can Fly or Humans Can Fly, something like that. But they were involved in both the original Gears of War and what was that spin-off Gears of War, CJ?
Judgment, the Gears
Judgment.
of War, Judgment. Yeah, I saw Greg Miller tweeting about it. It looked kind of interesting.
He would. But yeah, played that. Played the new Call of Duty Zombies mode. Liked that a lot. D, I'm sorry, I don't know if you were already talking about that.
Nope.
But I really liked it. It's if you mash together Call of Duty Call of Duty normal zombies with with Left 4 Dead. So it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. I think it's a fun mode. I like that it's kind of a go at your own pace mode too. Adds a bit of strategy to it that doesn't otherwise exist in some of the other modes that you got to play. Then I jumped back into Brawlhalla a little bit, which for those who don't know is basically the Ubisoft take, a free-to-play Ubisoft take on like Smash Bros. It's pretty good. I just haven't played it in a little while and had a feeling to jump in and play a little Smash Bros. Clone. So that's why I got Brawlhalla. I like it though, and if you're on PlayStation or Xbox and you don't have a Switch to take advantage of Smash Bros, definitely give it a go. I mean, Smash Bros is better, but this is a really good substitute if you're not in the Nintendo ecosystem. So it's pretty cool. Also played a game called We Were Here, which was some game I just bought in one of my buying sprees, and I don't remember when exactly. But I think it was fairly recent that I had purchased it. And anyway, it was kind of a cool game because I didn't even know what the fuck it was, and I jumped into it. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try this one day. And so I jumped into it, and it was a first-person, like, Myst style. Well, not a. it's a puzzle game, but almost misstylish.
Ooh.
The kicker is you are coordinating with one other player who they have your role. You're like basically the clue giver versus like the person who's executing what's going on. So you're both trying to figure out, like he's trying to tell me what he sees. I see all of these various things that might be the thing I need to think about giving him how can I help him get past this next part on. And you have to talk. It's like solving a puzzle that you can't see the other side of together. A la, in sort of in Ghosts. But where I couldn't see the various things and somebody else could, and you have to coordinate that shit really well. But this is even like a much more extreme version of that. So it's pretty cool. And then lastly, I tried playing, I know we talked about it last week, I just want to touch on it. Tried playing Heavy Metal Machines for a minute. I was having a real hard time getting in an online match. It just wasn't working. And I tried, I think, 2 days in a row. So I don't know what was going on with it, but I did play like the training mode or whatever. It's interesting. As a MOBA game, I don't know, maybe I'd play it a couple times, but it's not the MOBA game thing. I guess turns me off a little bit, not a ton, but the thing I didn't necessarily anticipate was that it drives like it's almost like a top-down isometric perspective, it's a top-down perspective, but it drives like the old off-road games. Right? Where like
it's like rear-wheel drive and like there's a delay.
No, it's just you are steering the vehicle from a top-down perspective with one thumbstick, and it's just gases. It's like driving an RC car. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't love that style of control. Maybe there's another control mechanism. Maybe I'll go back to it. Maybe not. But that's all I got. How about you, Siege?
So not a lot for me. Kind of the same two in rotation, the Ghosts we just talked about. But I also played Hitman 3. I still am cautiously stepping through that game. Still no update on trophy patches, which makes you a little sad. But that's neither here nor there. So I did play through Germany. I won't get into spoilers. I did finish all of that level and get all the trophies associated with it. And then I started off to China, and I started playing through that. I didn't finish it last night, but I started it last night. The one thing I will say, because you guys have heard me drone on about Hitman every week almost, but what I really like about Hitman 3, though, is a lot of the levels in here so far is they've had kind of different spins on the existing reboot. So a lot of times you go to a level, and it says, hey, kill this person, or kill these two people, and find this file, right? So you have to do these like similar mechanics throughout the levels. Well, in Hitman 3 so far, a lot of the different levels have different mechanics, right? And they actually have a little quirk, right? So, everyone knows the Knives Out quirk, where it's this murder mystery, where you don't necessarily have to follow along, but it's an option, right? And then the Germany level, which is like the rave party, has these little quirks, and then I don't want to spoil it for anyone who haven't played it yet, but there's definitely some different quirks. I've kind of been spoiled on some of the quirks in some future levels, but each level has some kind of unique quirks that I really like about it so far. So that all kind of leads me to kind of make the point that I'm really interested to see what IO has in store for the James Bond game coming out. So they're they're constantly always supporting Hitman, but they're also ramping up development on the James Bond game. So I'm curious to see what direction they go. If they go like a James Bond or just reskin in from the Hitman, or if they kind of
I hope they reskin Hitman.
Well, that's what I mean. Reskin Hitman as James Bond. But I'm curious to see if they can kind of do one of those things where they take the game in a completely different direction, but kind of use some of the same guts as they've developed through Hitman. So
I think they got to update the engine. I think they got to do an engine update for sure.
Because that game is.
Call it like because Hitman 3 does look graphically very much like Hitman 1. And
it's buggy.
it's not that it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look great.
It's true.
It's buggy as shit too, because I've had the game crash on me multiple times, and it's just
Shitty.
Yeah.
I did start it. So I was just in Dubai, and I was trying to PS5. Just it irritates me sometimes with the screenshot and some of that other shit. It was bringing up the Hitman pause menu. I was trying to send you a screenshot. Like I wandered right in through that curtain, and wandered right into the coat check area, and then someone, the person back there, caught me. So then I killed her. And then all of the staff started running away, so I was trying to take a screenshot of that to tweet at you guys. Like, I fucked this mission up 3 seconds into it. And it was funny because not only did I kill that bitch, there was some bitch that opened the door because she heard that I was strangling the first bitch, so then I killed that bitch too. And then when I was doing that, the door was open, so then all the rest of the staff saw me killing that person, and... Yeah,
that's them too well. Yeah, usually. But did you play any? Because when you in Dubai, that very first, you have to go that very first path, and then you walk up the steps, and then it just opens up to that big ballroom, and then it cues like the music or whatever, and it's just like holy shit. Yeah,
that was cool. I actually avoided the big main area, and I wandered immediately off into the little upstairs area where and it turned out that's where the first objective dude was. I tried killing him in a bush, and that also did not go well. People got mad. Actually, I think it was because I kept the knife out after I picked it up, and then people were like, "Hey, that guy's got a knife."
Why is it dripping blood?
Right, that's weird. And then they started shooting at me, and at which point it's funny because just with like how much life you have. There was definitely like 5 people shooting at me, and I definitely hand-to-hand combated, beat the shit out of like 3 people before I died. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. So I'm excited to see where these last couple levels go, and then I have to play the shit out of this level in China yet. So that's going to take me a while because there's a lot to this level. So so Hitman 3. So. That kind of wraps up what we've been playing. Let's get into the This Week in Gaming.
So much news. We canceled the Ghost of Tsushima spoiler cast because there was so much fucking news this week.
We've all been so excited to tell each other what our endings were and why we decided it and what stories we like and the trophy times. But that's going to have to wait because this week they decided to dump a whole shitload of news on us. So
everything.
Let's get started with the news we've all been waiting for. That is not exactly what we wanted it to be, but Anthem Next is no more. BioWare and EA decided to cancel the Anthem Next redesign, and it is DOA.
You're fucking out.
You were carrying the G for Anthem the most of any of us.
Sure was.
Let's air your grievances now, buddy. Let's hear it.
Well, we've talked about it enough where I guess people know my thoughts on it either way. I think it was a game worth saving. I think it demonstrated early on that it could be very financially successful for EA and could continue to be should they decide to do it right. EA and BioWare, especially BioWare, I should say, has been in a somewhat precarious position now. For the last few of its releases. And I think, EA looked at its chips that it made with that game, and it said, we out. And they just pulled from the table. And I can't blame them for it. I like the game. I really like the game. I would have liked to have seen it go on. I know the Anthem community is all a buzz and has really kind of roared back of the news of this in the last couple weeks. And there's a lot of cross-developer and cross-gaming community support to save Anthem, which was cool to see. Like the overall gaming community, a lot of them rallying around a game. Mm-hmm. And it was cool to see that, especially too from the other games as a service games, because that's the thing is if you were a games of a service game, your goal is to basically have your people hooked like heroin and on it 24/7, right? So it's cool to see those sorts of games supporting each other. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from that game and others.
Big time.
Obviously, Marvel's Avengers comes to mind currently. So, and then there's the Ghost Recon Breakpoint and Outriders. I'm not sure if it is going to be one of these games as a service games, but it kind of has some hallmark qualities of it. So I'm not positive. We'll see what happens.
Is that game? And now the demo is out, but is that going to be a full paid-for game, or is that going to be a free-to-play game, or what is it? What is your inclination?
I think it's a full play for game.
Yeah. Okay.
Straight up game, but it's like I believe the whole thing is multiplayer. You don't have to. You can go solo or you can go with other people.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Clyde. Sorry.
No, that's all right. But in either case, back to Anthem. I liked it. I'm sad to see it go. But, they're going to keep the servers up and people can still go play it. And one comment that I did read, the last thing I want to say about the comment I did read that I thought was cool was from a guy in a Facebook group I'm in. They said, you know what, though? The one reason I didn't play this game because I thought it was really cool is like I don't play games as a service game specifically because they don't have an end. I like having an ending to things. And he's like, now I'm actually going to buy it and play it because it has an end, and I know it has an end. Like there will
It's
just
not a
be
bad point,
right? So it's kind of a freeing sense of liberation and a take on that was pretty good. So
yeah, because I mean, like Destiny 2 runs into a lot of that, like their decisions to nerf stuff and then bury stuff and then bring it back and do all this, and then you end up with raids out of season that aren't the right level for the gear that you need, and like your point, the whole genre could use a lot of work, and someone's going to come along and do it a lot better, and it's going to be huge.
Not to get off on a huge tangent, but I don't know how a gaming community really of any kind, can expect a games as a service game or an MMORPG game for that matter. Like there's never going to be enough if you want to feed those people that are addicted to it. There's never going to be enough. There will never be satisfaction. So I don't think there is
the area. Well, there's not a perfect game, but the area to improve, we hit it on it a few times, is in the variability of the content and the activities to do. And that's where, in a previous episode, we were hitting on AIML and things like that, where as we move forward with some of these things, you can someone's going to create something where it'll be procedural or something like that, and then every time you go into a raid or every time you go into some of these other activities, it's actually going to be a little different every single time, so that it's a little more engaging, a little more addictive, to your point, because you're not going to know exactly how to do it. Or you're not going to know exactly everything they're going to throw at you, and it'll actually feed the beast more than it does right now. Because
I mean, we should move on, but in either case, I disagree on the basis that burnout still happens. So.
Oh, it will. But I'm saying they could stave it off.
Yeah. So it's sad. I had a bunch of fun playing the few nights we played.
Yeah,
it's not
that was a good game
for me either. So I think I bought it for $5 from GameStop, and I got definitely $5 worth of enjoyment out of that game. So. In other news of shutdowns, Sony is shutting down Japan Studio. So now, if you guys know, I don't know if you guys know exactly what Japan Studio does, but you've seen them come across. They're kind of involved with Astrobot. And they've had their hands in a bunch of different games, including Bloodborne and what was it, Last Guardian, but that was more of a support role. But the games that they've kind of been in charge of haven't really been financially successful, so Sony decided to pull the plug on the old Japan studio. So, um, yeah, I know anything to say about Japan studio?
Well, I put that up there, and it's because they took that entire team and put them on Asobi, which is 100% focused on Astrobot. And so, just kind of what I was thinking, I think PlayStation is starting to realize they may have an icon on its hands, as PlayStation doesn't really have a Mario like Nintendo. It doesn't have a Master Chief, where it's like that's the one thing when you look at it, you know which brand that is, right? And I feel like Sony's slowly coming to the realization that Astrobot could be that person for them, because not only is Rescue Mission super awesome in VR, even for older gamers, right? It's not just kids stuff. CJ, I think, well, and actually, Woods, you've played it too. Playroom is super fun on PS5. Doing those speed runs and shit is crazy. It's not easy to do that shit super fast, with some of the mechanics and to get good times. And I feel like they're going to focus a lot on releasing more Astrobot stuff and perhaps longer versions of those games. So, I, for one, think that's nice.
They were kind of in charge of some of these weirder IP like Knack, and so.
Well, they were in charge. They were in charge of a lot of games that were thought of that more appealed to the Japanese audience, right? And I think that, yeah, there's some validity to Dee's point for sure, but I also think that it shows a continuation of what Sony has really showed in regards to their attention that really played to the core Japanese market for a while now, which is they're kind of reprioritizing all of their focus to, or a lot of their focus to, more westernized taste. And I think it's sad because I think the Japanese market of video games is definitely now very much underrepresented in the West, where generations gone by, it was much more heavily represented because there were vastly more video game developers over in Japan that they just were in America and in Europe or whatever at the time.
It's because that's where it started.
Right. Yeah, obviously, for obvious reasons, this was the case. But I don't think necessarily the Japanese game developer is at all in jeopardy. But Sony has abandoned the portable gaming market, which is huge in Japan. And they've definitely kind of retracted from their direct support and development for quote unquote more Japanese market games. Now for quite some time, and this is just further continuation of that. And I don't know if they have a first party studio anymore that now would focus exclusively on again titles aimed at more aimed at the Japanese market.
Yeah, I don't know what's left that Sony owns that would be.
I think they're still using some of these third party developers to develop some of these games that they have exclusive deals with that are not necessarily first party development going on, but I think they have quite a bit. I mean, but right now Sony is more or less headquartered out of California, isn't it? Yeah. So that's more of the westernization.
Well, the PlayStation arm.
Yeah, PlayStation. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, PlayStation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Japan studio is no more. But in positive news, and kind of touching out that Astrobot news that Dee was just touching on, PSVR 2 is announced. So the long rumored PSVR 2 that actually, it's interesting. It was announced, but actually came out when the PlayStation 5 came out. If you guys,
no one knew about it.
It's gonna have one. They kind of announced the news kind of weird, but no graphics or anything with it. But it's gonna have one connection cord allegedly, and have a lot more high fidelity. So a little bit of sad news. It's one cord only, but there's.
I don't think so. I actually don't think so. I mean,
Or do you think
it'd
the
be
one
nice if
cord is to like connect something to the PS5 and then it's still wireless to the headset? Or did
No,
they
I think
fully
it's gonna be-
announce
I
it's
think
all the way
I
to the
think-
cord? Or all
No,
the way to the head?
they haven't announced what the cord is. So people are speculating that there's not going to be a breakout box anymore because that that alone would be at least 2 wires. So it sounds like what they're
and a
thinking is
box
gonna-
and more wires.
exactly. So it's going to be the headset wired in directly to your PlayStation 5, whether it's via USB-C or whatever. But it'll be directly wired in there.
I think it's foolish to assume it's anything otherwise at this point.
I wish it was wireless. So that's one of
wish
my 2 holdups. From
I don't disagree. I wish it was wireless because it'd be nice for it to be an independent platform and then be able to have the modularity where you can hook it up and gain the benefits of the PS5 or have VR games that are exclusive to the PS5. That would be the idea.
Yes.
But if they really want to push it forward too, they have to have and be able to have the best of the best VR games on there with the highest fidelity. And if that means it needs to be connected to a PlayStation 5 because you can't do it via the mobile application, then that's the way to go. Because I'd rather the genre push forward rather than push just everything into wireless, even when like the compute processing and graphical processing just isn't there. I want the best games experiences, not the most convenient with those games experiences.
Yeah, I'm caught between both because those are my 2 biggest hangups on PlayStation VR. The fidelity, like I mentioned before on previous podcasts, like the fidelity is a hangup for me. When I see the rendering happening in VR, I'm like, oh, it just doesn't look good. It just takes me out of it, and so that's a big hangup for me. So being wired into the PlayStation 5 will definitely help with that. But also, when I was playing Super Hot at your house, Woodsy, I tripped on the cable a couple times because I was doing my sweet ass fucking, awesome Neo moves and looking like a freaking doofus doing it. But I tripped on the cable a couple times, which my klutzy self, and that took me out of it also. So
Same.
kind of caught between both. So and the setup of it is difficult because right now, are either of your PlayStation? I know D yours probably is because Jake was playing it a bunch. But Woodsy, is your PlayStation VR hooked up to your PS5 or no?
I haven't had it hooked up in a minute.
But
it's no different than hooking it up on 4. So
I get that, but that's part of the reason of it being just so cumbersome. Of like, there's the breakout box and all these cables going everywhere. With it being one cable, will definitely help with that.
Yes,
but I mean, it's
except for the fact that the PS5 decided not to put enough USB ports on the fucking box.
Again. Like that was such an
like
easy
Jesus
thing
Christ.
added.
Yeah, like I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, to be honest, because like immediately upon setting up, even just to charge something and then have your external hard drive and have some of these things hooked up, it was like I already needed a hub to plug in there.
I want like approximately 48 USB ports on everything.
Well, there should have been 8 3.2s on the back.
Well, okay. We agree. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
like
a lot of more than 3.
But,
right, so
2.
I think the best we could have hoped for is that like the Oculus Quest 2 like style where you can hook it is wireless, it will function wirelessly, but you can hook it up to your computer via their whatever wired optional connection, and you can reap the benefits of being able to play games from your computer into the headset. So
totally agree. Yeah,
that's what it should be. Is it going to be that? I don't think so.
And wireless HDMI is a thing, so
if it comes out though that like the shit that they're able to make on the PS5 and the PSVR 2 via the PS5 is just this mind-blowing shit, then
it's worth it.
I still maintain that I think it was the better decision. It just depends on what is produced for it.
I don't disagree with you. And there's probably a cost thing too, because they're always concerned about the price point of their shit. Right. So wireless HDMI, as I know it, even just buying like 1 or 2 things for it, the adapters, it's $150 right now to do something with wireless HDMI. So if that would have been a plus $125, on the headset, they probably had to cut it.
No, I'm all for it too. I've always been a VR detractor, but if they're pushing the ball forward, that does make me happy, and that does interest me. So I guess we'll see where they go with the PlayStation 2 VR.
I'm just glad they're supporting the platform going forward with a new fucking platform.
Agreed.
There's been a lot of concerns about them not doing that. So yeah, totally thirded. So so let's get into some delays. We had a couple delays that came out this week. Woodsy, you and me, baby, we're in the same boat here, buddy. Gran Turismo got punched to 2022. So
I predicted this last week. I think
you predicted it.
I predicted it probably every week. Right?
And I'll skip ahead in our thing too. So Elden Ring was delayed to 2022 as well.
Right.
That's the other one, yeah. So both games were announced. I think Elden Ring was announced 19 at the E3, and Gran Turismo. I think I knew that one, but that one was announced a little bit more recently at their PlayStation.
Well, it came out with all the PSVR news and everything with the interview with GQ that What's His Nuts did. It's weird that they have now GQ is pulling all these PS exclusive interviews with their head dude, and then it just is the news now.
Yeah, well,
apparently there was a little bit of a funny story. The Sony PlayStation Twitter media people weren't realizing this article was going to be published and what was going to be published, so they were trying to fucking catch up with the shit as it's breaking on other websites.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to join Woods in my super ultra disappointment that it's not ready. Since, again, with our regular complaints on this show, with the hype machine, this was part of the hype bundle to buy the fucking console, and now we're going to have our consoles for 18 months before I can buy GT7. And
I'm not gonna not say I'm disappointed, but like I've said before, if you've been a GT fan for any longer than 6 seconds, and
they
didn't
get pushed.
expect at least one more delay, you were foolish.
That's
you were
true.
foolhardy.
And
true.
We've always said here too, we'd rather have a game delayed,
than be shitty.
Than being shitty.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's hard to kind of hit that window, right? You want to hit a window where you announce it as late as possible, but also give it enough time to generate hype. What was it? Fallout 4 did that whole super late release, and it worked out really well for them. But other games, they needed a bigger hype cycle, and I think COVID, both games have said that COVID has been a big problem of working from home and has caused delays and whatnot. So that's totally understandable.
I guess.
It's just kind of sad. My predictions and back in the Christmas episode was I was hoping that game would be shadow dropped in March. It's maybe.
GT fans, we got GT Sport, but we haven't had GT. I mean, GT6 was on the PlayStation 3, so
right.
And Sport was it's like a Gran Turismo Lite.
Well, I know you two.
As far as the original experience.
Elden Ring.
Good analogy.
So there is a grainy ass video rolling around the internet of someone recording some Elden Ring trailer. If you're really interested,
and for everyone that was the George R.R. Martin based game coming on. I had to look it up.
Yeah, it is. So that's my most anticipated game. I'm most excited for.
Really?
It's made by From. It's next Dark Souls. So.
Is it going to have anything to do with his shit, or did he just write a whole new thing?
That's a new thing.
Okay.
It's not previous IP at all.
Okay.
Nothing with Game of Thrones. Nothing with Dark Souls. It's just those two, meeting up, and so I'm super stoked for it. But what I'm curious about is they said that game is going to be on PS4, and I have been a recent convert of let's draw. I mean, I'm speaking from a place of fortune and having a PlayStation 5, but we need to draw the line in the sand and say, okay, nope, no more PS4 games. We are going straight to PS5, because there is definitely a big difference between PlayStation 5 games and PlayStation 5/PlayStation 4 games.
Yeah, that's going to be true. Unfortunately, you're running into that bullshit where shit's got 4, 5, 6 year development cycles, so some of this shit was 50% done, 60% done when they announced or sent out dev kits for the next one. Like, what do these places do when Sony does that to you?
Well, and the the attached the PlayStation 4 is one of the top 3 selling consoles of all time, or whatever number it is of all time, and you don't want to miss out on all those potential sales and whatnot. So it's all these games you're playing right now. But
Dying Light 2 did just do this though. They just announced that they're dropping their support for the PS4 version.
Interesting. Okay.
Thank you.
So some of these studios are just
support that. Fuck it.
So some of these studios are just saying, to hell with it, and we're just going to do PS5.
I think they're making it for the PS5, and they don't want to deal with the Cyberpunk problems.
And
That's fine.
Cyberpunk is the sacrificial lamb, then
maybe that's it, Siege. Maybe that's your domino.
We need to draw a line somewhere, and it needs to be drawn soon, because we can't keep trying to wedge in this 2013 console, which is 2012, 11 tech.
Yeah, because in PC terms, it's ancient.
Exactly. So so a couple delays to announce from this week. So there are some PlayStation Plus or some PlayStation first parties coming more to the PC, including Days Gone.
Yeah, that was another big announcement.
News just keeps dropping. So all the you see kind of some of the fringe people are all butthurt about them. Like, oh, this is not console. This is not exclusive anymore. But
why?
So I didn't see. There's no link on this one. What is the medium of which PlayStation is doing this? Are these things simply getting a PC port, or is there something else going on?
I'm pretty sure they're selling it through Steam and Epic and shit like that.
So they're porting it to PC.
They're porting to PC, yeah. But if they can get people hooked on certain IPs like Days Gone, maybe that's not the IP necessarily, but if they were to put Bloodborne on there and then patch it to 60 or something, and put some of these older IP like Horizon and whatnot on there, and get people tasted for this IP, and get pushing them to their platform, it's more money coming in. And
correct.
I've never understood these console wars. I mean, I'm in the PlayStation ecosystem just because I like getting for trophies, and I like the IP that they have, but I couldn't give two shits less if some of these games started leaking onto PC and or Xbox.
No, I think it's wonderful for the gamer to have access to all the games, and I've hit on it on the show probably a few times. I really think that's the end game for all of it, because hardware,
especially Nintendo. I think you were.
It's hardware. I'm in the hardware business, and the shit, it just becomes more commodity by the day, and you got to eat your margins to make it, and the money is to be made in the IP. So the more money these guys can all make to put back into the IP, to put back into having good games, the better everything is going to get.
But you're very, very wrong.
Yeah, they still make money on it. Yeah,
the majority of the money is not made in the IP. It's made in digital store sales.
Yes, the microtransactions. Yes, correct.
No, they get 30% off of every fucking game they sell.
They do now, right? So
they have. That's always been. That's been the standard.
But that's what
you mean. The reselling of the games,
now, right? So that's where the fight is starting to brew right now. Is why are we giving 30% cuts on games?
Okay, right, yeah. Okay, so I see what you're saying. But I mean, that's
right.
money.
Yeah. But it's not in the hardware. It's owning the locked distribution model, so that if you want to be on this thing, I own the keys to the fucking thing. I mean, I get it, but it's better for gamers to have it open. So that's all I meant.
I guess we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But hopefully, now that we see some of this IP starting to leak out to other platforms, it's just good for the gamer. So, speaking of more news of good for the gamer. PlayStation is bringing back its what's it called, Days of Play or sale or free games. Where a year ago when coronavirus really started hitting,
Play at home.
Thank you. They started putting out some games for free beyond the PlayStation Plus games. So this was, I think,
that didn't require a PS Plus subscription though, just half.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Spot on.
How do gamers or how do PlayStation people download those? Do they just show up in the store as free games?
Yep.
They'll have a featured section at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
I think it's the same procedure as it's claiming the PS Plus games, but like Woodsy mentioned, it was spot on. You don't need a PS Plus
Right.
account to or subscription to claim these games. So
That's cool.
that all being said, one of the games that we've been talking and trying to sell you on, D, with Jake, is the Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank 2016 or whatever it is.
Did jump into it.
Yeah.
It's a little beyond him for right now. We need like 1 year. He's still he's only 6, and even though he might have some huge genes in him, so he's like so for those of you out there with children, he's probably the size of a regular 8-year-old, but still not ready to work both thumbsticks at the same time.
Yeah.
And with Ratchet and Clank, it's a regular 3D where you got to be moving and then moving the camera with the right hand and then aiming and firing.
It's a shooter more so than Astrobot, where you're more.
But you do get time. To your guys' point, you do get time to be like, oh hey, there's a fucker trying to shoot me. I better shoot them. So I can figure out what I'm doing. So like he was doing some of that, but just. It's kind of like 1 year. Give it like 1 year. We'll be in Ratchet.
Kind of that mascot. It's a mascot shooter more so than a mascot platformer. So
yeah.
It's something he'd be interested in. And they do have a movie that came out, probably about a year within a year of the game coming out that ties in.
The game was better.
The game was better, but for a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old,
right?
It's cool to see both. But yeah, so that Ratchet and Clank, the reboot, which is an awesome game. It looks really cool.
There's some other stuff they're doing with it too, but I don't recall. And who knows if they might announce even one more game? Because I think it was like a whole month-long thing last March.
It was a month-long thing, so maybe they might do like March. They might do Ratchet and Clank, and which will dovetail into their the new game coming out relatively soon. So you get the appetite wet for people. So that was smart on their part. But maybe they'll throw some more games in there. So just be on the lookout for the old stay-at-home and play-at-home game. So that all being said, PlayStation had a big state of play this past week. There's a whole pile of games announced here. Nothing too exciting announced here. But what we did see was Final Fantasy VII DLC was announced called Intergrade. And it's a full DLC that comes out. They're also going to be dropping a PS5 version, which is going to have better loading times, which will be key because that game has some long loading times, better graphics, better 3D audio, all that fun stuff you'd expect. But it's going to be taking place during some of the sections when you're off with Cloud and you're away from Tifa and all them. It's going to actually kind of fill in some of these gaps. So I'm pretty stoked for that. So I know you two haven't played Final Fantasy VII. We'll see if it's if it wins Woodsy's poll here, but some other ones I want to touch on: Crash Bandicoot 4. Not a lot to announce there, but they're having the PS5 upgrade announced, and it's going to be free if you own the game. Circle back to Final Fantasy VII. I have some other news coming out in a little bit here, but if you did buy Final Fantasy VII Remake, you do get the PS5 version for free. Same with Crash Bandicoot 4. If you bought that, you get the free upgrade. 4K, 60 frames.
Same on Xbox as well.
Same on Xbox as well. Yep, thank you. Returnal. Now, I know you two are kind of into this whole space age shooters with your what is it? Sean Murray's game.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, but this game looks pretty cool. It's a third-person shooter, which had me interested. But did you guys watch Returnal at all, or no?
Woods saw all these, but I'll comment on the back end.
Woodsy, Returnal?
Yeah, looks cool. Problem is, everything that they show looks cool. It looks great. Looks fun. But the only they showed, and then they showed the kickball game, the new kickball game that EA showed during the Nintendo Direct. They showed what's that Kung Fu game?
Kung Fu.
That one is the one that excited me the most. And then they showed one other game that looked like a poor man's the game version of the game that just came out with that was an exclusive. And I have to say, all the other shit it looks good. It looks good. It all looks good. But I've known this look good because I've seen the trailers and shit for these games like 4 or 5 fucking times now.
Oh, so a bunch of these were already known and everything else?
Yes.
Yeah,
All but like 2 or 3 of them. They got to start showing some new blood.
Well, they had some release dates and some updated different, but you're spot on there, Woodsy, because they did have the one first-person shooter game, which I thought the art style looks cool. I can't remember the name of it.
Deathloop.
Deathloop. Thank you. I so want to play that game. That art style is so up my alley. But it
looks awesome as fuck.
It's a first-person shooter, and I cannot play that. Makes me nauseous.
Is that still making nauseous?
Yeah,
Man.
I just can't do a first-person game. It just makes me so sad because that game looks cool as fuck. Knockout City looks kind of cool. But what I did want to touch on, Oddworld, speaking of PlayStation Plus, is going to be day and date with a free PlayStation Plus game. And it comes on April 6th. So Oddworld's one of those games I randomly played way back in the day at a buddy's house who had a PlayStation. And I always thought it was kind of cool. So it being a PS Plus game, I'm definitely more likely to try it out. Seifu, what do you touch on it? It's a kung fu game. That was one of the new ones, right? And the hook there is every time you die, you age. So I think there's
cool.
Set limit of times you can die.
Of course.
Before you become an old man, then you just like can't do shit.
But it sounded like
you get better with age.
Yeah, it sounded like every time you died, you got better at your kung fu because that's the mechanic.
Also slow down a bit though too because you weren't quite as young.
I don't know. I guess I'll have to reread.
So I think there was definitely some negatives with the dying as well. So yeah, that game was pretty cool too. So so like you mentioned, Woodsy, there wasn't a whole lot announced there. It was a healthy 30 plus minutes.
Yeah.
Showcase.
And then Kona Bridge of Spirits or whatever got pushed to September.
That game looked cool though. I mean, it
does look good.
Graphically looked cool, but you were spot on with we've seen it before. So we all thought, and we were all eagerly awaiting the infamous Wednesday before the Tuesday drop of PlayStation Plus games. We were all sitting there. We had the DM
dirty
going.
Dirty motherfuckers.
And we said, where are the announcements? Where are the announcements? They didn't say it. So then we're like, okay, well, it makes total sense they didn't announce because they say to play on Thursday. Well, they're going to drop some Megaton drops. Nothing Thursday. Friday. A Friday announcement. So anytime they do these Friday announcements, it's the end of week.
Because if it's bad.
News dump.
Like the NFL.
Exactly. Like, hey, this person raped a person and we get for a month. We're going to do a Friday. Yeah, so...
Did you just drop the R word? All right.
He did drop a hard capital R, but it's
I didn't say Woodsie's R word. I said that's
no. I know the word is said.
Rape. I said rape. Yeah, it's one of those like news announcements they want to drop on a Friday. No, you drop the R word, not me. Let me make that very clear. PlayStation Plus news dump on Friday. Bad news. Some good news, some bad news. The game's announced. Final Fantasy VII, free game, mega announcement, one of the coolest games on PlayStation 4. However, they did also announce in the fine print that we touched on earlier, there is no upgrade. So if you
have not bought it,
PS Plus, you have to pay whatever it is, $10 or whatever they're going to charge you to upgrade to the PS5 version. Not overly surprising, but here there. Farpoint, which I think is a PSVR only game. I'm still a little confused on that.
Yeah, I need to go look that one up.
Is it just $10 to upgrade to the PS5 version?
I don't know what it is.
Or would you have to buy that $30 version that's out?
I don't know what they'll charge you. They'll charge you some amount of money.
It's I'm getting to play. I'm fine.
It looks amazing on PS4.
I have no beef.
Farpoint, which I think is a PS. It's labeled as a PS4 game, but what I've been seeing
it's a VR game. It's a VR exclusive game. That was the game that came with the light gun bundle. It's actually really good, and if there was a VR game I'd like to revisit, that's definitely one of them, because that is the best way I can describe that game is Halo in VR.
I'll play that with you, Woodsy.
So
the other game was a game called Marquette, I think, which is I think it's a day and date. I think it's dropping next month, and it's a puzzle game.
It's weird. It's like a puzzle game, where it's almost like what are the Russian dolls? The nesting dolls?
Stuff inside, the nest, yep.
But when you do things in a smaller nest, it affects things in the larger
bigger nest,
Yeah.
It looks very interesting.
Like a cool puzzle game.
So that's your PS5 game. So Where I'm confused here too is it said PS5/PS4, but you may only be able to claim the PS5 game, so I'm not sure about that. It's a little confusing. And that was it for the. Yeah, that,
And
that was
Remnant-
it for
Destruction
the-
All Stars 2, you're going to be able to download that for a whole nother month yet.
Yep.
And Remnant from the Ashes.
Nope. No
Oh,
other
yeah.
games. Nope. No
Oh,
other games.
yeah. Oh, he's just trying to sneak it by and didn't. He denied it. CJ, let me ask you this: what pains you more, that you already owned this game and therefore it wasn't like a new one you could experience, or that millions and millions of more fans are now going to hop aboard the Remnant train?
Hey, actually,
I'm
that's
concerned.
hang on. That's a good point.
So
hang on. To anyone out there who's listening to our pod, we have a beautiful, beautiful Sherpa for you, for Remnant from the Ashes. The person who amongst the three of us beat it third, but he's more than happy to help you through what little he knows about the game since he beat it last among us. But please hop on and ask him to kind of help you with the game before he calls in us to help with the game. But let's all get together and play Remnant. I'm in.
Let's all Remnant.
Let's
Let's
Remnant.
let's reminisce with Remnant.
Yes,
So,
I'm in.
so this gets to why it was a Friday news dump. Now
Here's
it
the
makes
worst
so much
game
more
we've
sense.
ever had on PS Plus.
You have the highs of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then, it's just a news dump. They couldn't have said it any sooner. It's just a Friday news dump. So
The only thing that I think would possibly make CJ happier is if they would have announced the other 3 games first on like Tuesday, and then added in Remnant on Friday. Like, oh yeah, Remnant's in there too.
Remnant didn't work for me. That was, as you all know.
Because you just don't have taste.
I really don't know why there's so much hate for that game. It was
No, you
it
know
was
exactly why. Because more than he hates, way more than he hates that game. Way more than he hates that game. He loves busting my fucking balls.
It's true. It's true.
This
'Cause it
game
really-
was hyped up more so than anything.
Oh, was it?
It just did not work for me, man.
the only hype I heard. From Woods. Oh,
Woods. It
don't
just
you
did
know
not
better
work.
than
It just-
to believe that by now? I
Hey,
I hear him talking about how it's the best game he's ever played, and all I expected was to be entertained for a while. That
That's why I was excited.
No, CJ Ryan, speak the truth here. I was your Netflix man forever, your TV show man, your movie man, your video game man. Don't you dare blaspheme me. Don't you dare.
And it all was lost in one fell
Motherfucker,
swoop.
you
It's like
dirty,
one of those,
Remnant hating motherfucker. No, I'm not going to tone down the temperature, D. You motherfuckers.
No, D's just laughing along. So Remnant. As much as it pains me to say it, was I tried to skip it. I almost got it through there. Through past way through. Is the other. Delete your PlayStation accounts now. Don't claim the game. You don't RP attached to you. So,
Or come play with quality people who love to play
That's true.
quality games.
ping us on PlayStation Network, Large Furry Willie, Maverick AW down there. We'll play some Remnant with you. Come ask us when you download it
Right.
for
don't send me
free.
games
It's a
and
good
I'll
game.
block you.
And I will give you
Ask
CJ
CJ, he'll
gamer
block you.
tag so you can harass him about it.
I'll block
Just
you.
in all comers.
All right.
All right, so let's get back on track here, boys, because we had our fun here. So, good news. PlayStation 5 also announced they are finally
Finally!
going to patch the firmware to allow you to update your SSD drive this summer. So, coming in relatively soon.
Yeah. Well, they still don't have the actual list. There's literally that's all they've announced is that whatever's been happening in the firmware, because that's what I believe. Something weird is going on, because again, with PlayStation and announcements and blah, 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 it's gone beyond something that's like, oh, we just don't have a compatibility list. No, that's bullshit. Something's going on where when you plug in a M2 drive into this slot, something bad is happening.
Well, it's just not working out the way they want it to work out.
Right.
Because the hardware exists. So
correct.
It's full of shit.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
yeah.
the exact same thing, D.
So this
I'm
is
glad you
definitely
said it,
something
too.
weird is happening when you plug in an M2.
But it won't
Because
be in
my question
whatever that is
to
is
these
gonna be
guys.
gone in June, so that's good.
So
Dude.
my question to these guys has been, will they lock it down, like we discussed in some of the pre-launch shows? Will they lock it down to the latest Gen of M2, or will they open it up to some of the later model previous Gen M2s where they might be a little slower, but you'd be able to get them at a better price? Because as we all know, the
No.
PS5 is going to do.
No.
It's all going to be latest gen.
Well, they already released the minimum spec sheet, so whatever that is.
All right, well, then that's newest gen.
I'll give me latest gen because
Lame.
they're pushing for this performance, and anytime you
So
install
that's gonna be
an
expensive.
older gen model,
Like for Ratchet and Clank, that's
Yeah.
part of that game, right? It has to go X amount, or it ain't
Exactly.
gonna fly.
so anytime
So-
they allow you to install a game on this, this.
Oh, right, because it's going to be a PS5 compatible or only. I would assume
So
it's going to be
anytime
part of that pool.
you start seeing frames drop or something below whatever they say is the running level, because people
Yeah.
dissect these games 7 ways from
That's
Sunday.
true.
So
Okay.
the only, my only question about it at this juncture is this going to come with what I hope is a much larger firmware and OS update? I want my fucking folders back, motherfucker.
I also want
My
folders
goddamn
back.
motherfucking games and my fucking friends
Because
list.
Woods has
Fix
made
that
me buy
shit.
a bunch of games, and now I've had PS Plus for 18 months or so, maybe a little longer. So now my thing is at almost 200 games. And since I have my giant external, like I have most of them even downloaded. But like I'd love to be able to like even make Jake his own folder. Here's all your shit that you can play.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I missed folders less than I thought I would. I genuinely do. Like I really don't miss them at all. I don't even miss my themes either.
Well, you do a lot of your recent shit, right? So like you have
2 games.
your like
Yeah,
6
so
or
I
8.
play-
Yeah.
I played 2 games right now. I'm playing Ghost and Hitman, so it really doesn't affect me at all. It actually makes it a little bit easier to navigate between the two of them because I would have those games in different folders previously. So, to me, I don't miss it at all. So, but Woodsy, you're right with the whole friends thing. Like I hate navigating.
They need to fix that shit. Like
who's
now.
online and who's in the chat. Because if I see Woodsy's in a chat, I'm blocking that chat and I'm going offline. Immediately.
That's
so,
true.
I just don't. I don't want to be.
You're spot
I
on.
don't want to
Woodsy.
have like a chat, be a part of a party for every combination of fucking people possible.
You're spot on.
Yeah,
You're
It's
spot
and
on.
it's
so
weird.
fucking
Like
ridiculous.
we can't be the only ones with this complaint because I mean honestly, we
certainly.
only have a dozen friends. So,
Right,
but
right.
basically we have 2 to the 12 combinations for message groups.
Right. No, so I no, you guys are both spot on. I like to have Woodsy shit all the time, and he takes it in good stride. But he is spot on, man. Like, you guys start a party chat up. You guys are always good about.
I
starting
know
this.
I'm spot on. Look at this goddamn fisher head that's coming back.
Well,
Look
see-
at this goddamn
well, see,
fisher.
you're-
You think
you're
this is
looking-
an accident, motherfucker?
Yeah, you look like George Clooney got in a car accident.
I gave you shit earlier.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
I gave you shit earlier.
You heard it here first. I'm putting that on my fucking LinkedIn profile.
Oh, George Clooney in a
Looks
car
like
accident.
George Clooney got in a little car accident. I'm gonna
Major
take that.
head-on collision.
That's oh, now we're worsening it. Okay.
No, but I like to give him shit, but he's spot on here. Like you guys are really good about starting the party chat up. But a lot of times I'm like, which chat are we in? So I'm trying to like jump into the.
That's why I try to message whenever I join one.
But then I hop on
so that you
and you guys are
know.
in a different chat because some other else is in there. So it's just all this hot mess. So you're spot
That's
on.
'cause
So
of Ryan.
hopefully it comes up to you either way. So anyway, you guys will be in our expansion. Whether it costs us a shitload of money, who knows? But come summer, let's go to that. So
It will. So if it's all next gen M2s, shit's gonna be super expensive. So as of I saw right now, I think it was Samsung is gonna have an 8 terabyte M2 for $1,500.
Yes. Put it on my PlayStation card. Don't at Miriam. It's fine.
Now we'll have to see how Wood thinks of it first.
Don't at his wife. Anyway, so Nintendo had a Pokemon Direct. They have their big 25th anniversary going on, so you'll see some shit going on all over the place. McDonald's, games, and whatnot. But everything to come out of this announcement was they have some games coming out. They have Diamond and Pearl, which is called like Shiny Diamond and Pearl or something, which I guess I didn't even realize was one of their mainline games, but that was from the 3DS era, a little after my Pokemon playing times, is getting a remake for the Switch. And the really cool news coming out is Legends Arceus is coming out, which is going to be the open world RPG a lot of folks were excited for. So Pokemon fans out there, my brother is one of them. He is super stoked for this news. You can get on your Pokeballs out there and go nuts. So,
yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to agree with Alex.
As well.
I'm gonna have to agree with Alex and the meme/Twitter community on this one, and just literally say, "Holy fuck! How has there not been an open world Pokemon game before 2022?"
Well, an open world like this, right? Yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Like for the ones who you would have, like, looking back now, if you would have guessed who would have pioneered open world games with open challenges, open this, open that, you'd have been like, oh man, I bet Pokemon did that, if I would think back on it.
Think about this for a second. They did come out with an open world Pokemon game. And it was 7 years ago. And it was augmented reality.
Pokemon Go.
Oh yeah, Pokemon Go. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. They did that game 7 years before the fucking actual game.
Yeah. They did augmented reality before they did an open world actual game. Yeah, good for them, man. They keep making ways to print money. It's good for them, man. Good for them.
So Pokemon fans out there, get your Pokeballs shined up, and 2020 this year we're getting Diamond and Pearl. Next year we'll get the Legends Arceus. Woodsy, Stadia had some womp womp news this week.
Lots of womp womp news in the last month for these motherfuckers.
Wait till you see what they're spending, but womp
Fucking
womp news.
Google.
Journey to the Savage Planet, the developers by Stadia, has some patches they need to fix, but no one's there to fix them.
Yeah, they just can't do it.
They canned everyone that built the game, and anyone left has no idea how to fix it. So that game is essentially broken right now. So womp womp.
Womp womp.
And then also, Jason Schreier had a report out on Bloomberg. I think where he's working now. But Google spent millions.
And millions!
And actual millions, not like our millions of followers.
Right.
On games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Ubisoft games. And
it was basically anyone that they wanted on Stadia, they had to go out and pay them just obscene amounts of money to make the port onto Stadia. It was nuts. I couldn't believe that article I read. On how much they were just bleeding to even exist. It was nuts.
And nothing became of it. So it's sad news. Like we were kind of up a little bit before the show because we have a story come up here in a minute here about the xCloud stuff. And in theory, Stadia is a really cool idea of like, hey, I'm here now. Let me open up a browser and play my game. Awesome, right? But their model is just not sustainable and whatnot.
Yeah, they made so many missteps, and it was funny because I read a different article that was saying like how un-Google-like this whole thing was. Like usually what they do is they dip their toe in.
That was another piece.
And then
that
they
Jason
grow it. Oh, was it Jason? Yeah. So he did a great article on how most of their shit, they dip a toe in, and then if people respond well to it, they go, oh man, we're going to grow it. And that's why it was like super shocking that they didn't partner with someone like a Steam. And I feel like we covered this previously too. Like to just do, like it's a partnership with Steam. I have a Steam account, so guess what? You get actually a free streaming version to all the games you've bought. If I were to be Google and partnered with Steam. Like, how cool would that have been just out of the gate? Like, I take my Steam account, I log in to Google Stadia, and now I potentially, depending on what kind of PC rig I had, I could have logged into this service and had a better experience than I did on my PC at home,
Right.
just as part of my service. And then again, to Jason's point, with dipping your toe in the water, people would have been like, "Oh shit! Like I don't have to pay $1,200 to upgrade my PC anymore. I can just go through this," and they could have started there.
Well,
But they
not
wanted
only
to
that,
develop their own games and all this other shit just out of the gate.
They went from 6 to midnight with the ideal hardware application, and like you were just talking about, but then they didn't start with like non-mainstream games.
Also, they wanted to start with AAA.
They went after the throats of Xbox
Assassin's Creed
and Sony and Steam and even Nintendo.
Yeah,
they went after everybody.
They wanted to announce themselves as a competitor immediately.
Right. They didn't want to try to slow break their way into it, and given the talent that they had hired, Phil Harrison, all that other jive, I can see why. But, I don't know.
Wasn't a good idea.
Ain't happening.
However, someone that is hopefully getting things right is Xbox with their xCloud app. So
Yeah,
they did kind of roll that out for the Windows version. I know D kind of looked into that.
Yeah, so they haven't dropped it yet, but some people got their hands on the preview version of the xCloud Windows app that's going to let you play your Xbox games right on your PC. It's in some. And Woods, you may have to, if you read into this, I'm not entirely sure how it differs from Xbox's version of Remote Play, because it sounds like they also have that, but then there's this thing with xCloud. But
There's no real. Okay.
They referenced it in the article.
I was part of the beta.
Oh, okay. Of the xCloud of this app.
Of xCloud of the app on my LG G40
Sure.
Android phone. And I played Ace Combat 7. That was one of the games. I forget the other. I think it was maybe Madden. I didn't bother with that. I was just like, I'm going to play Ace Combat 7. And it was pretty decent. I mean, connection issues were issues, and there definitely was a little bit of lag, but surprisingly, it was really good. I only fucked with it for an hour or two, but
But I heard there's some gyro tech in there. So they said it's not unlocked yet, but my guess would be they said they're trying to really focus on making sure that they have compatibility with phones and then like surfaces and things like that. So my guess would be a gyro functionality in there would be related to exactly what you were doing, Woods. So instead of needing to do thumbs or whatever you were doing with Ace Combat, you could actually start just rotating your phone or your tablet or whatever to play your game.
Well, you could hook up your PS4 to your phone.
Your controller, nice.
Yeah, so it's not even a thing. And I didn't buy one, but they got these clips that you can clip onto the back of your actual controller, and it'll just hold your phone up right in front of you.
That's pretty
Dude,
cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
But so unless you have a different guess on what the gyro would be, because I was reading on that, they said there's a piece of software that's not unlocked yet. My only thought was
normal game developers can take advantage of if you're in X-Play mode or some bullshit.
Well, that's where I just figured with phones, because phones have them and tablets have them for rotating the screen. I figured, like if you're playing Mario Kart and shit, you could work on just having boost and fire your shit on the side, but then you could actually, almost like a Wii controller, use your phone and your screen and do it that way.
But maybe it's just as simple as
could be.
I could hold my phone this way, or this way.
It could be super simple. I was assuming it had something cool to do with controls, but it did sound super sweet. It's coming soon. I'm blanking on the date, but dropping soon for PCs.
Very cool. And in final kind of news here to wrap up our news of the week, big week, Halo graphics have gotten much better.
6 months, man. Like I don't know if anyone had a chance to peek on this on Twitter, but
I did, yeah.
yeah. So there were a few tweets out there that showed. I want to say it was a total of 4 screenshots, two from when they dropped it last year, to be like, oh, Halo Infinite's almost here, and then what it's at right now, night and day. It's crazy. It looks like the first shots were on PlayStation 2, and then the newest ones are on PS5. So the mountain scenes and some of the rendering and some of all that stuff all looks way more incredible than it did before. Obviously 4K will do that, but hopefully no more Craigs.
You
But
got to keep him in the game in some capacity.
so hey, you never know, man. If like we were just talking about with the XCloud app, man, they keep doing that shit. And Halo Infinite comes out. I'm assuming that's going to be part of Game Pass. They might have one more person. I'll throw that on something I have to give it a shot. So
Yeah.
Well, and
I'm
if
not
you
buying the box.
nope, I won't buy an Xbox, but I would sign up for kind of like what we do.
a 14-day free trial and
that or
bunk for 3 months or whatever they do, and
I hope Xbox does some kind of shit that's similar to like what WWE does. Like every once in a while when I get the itch to watch a WrestleMania, just because I used to do all that shit, WWE is very good about just letting you sign back up for $10 a month to get your pay-per-view. They don't care. You're going to give them your $10 and you get to sign back up. They don't care.
Or just a digital rental service like
Yeah.
you can do with movies.
Exactly.
I mean, it's that simple.
And I hope xCloud is very much, and Game Pass is in that same vein, where I can hop on for 2 months because I'll give them my money, my $60 or whatever, and then I'll just hop back off. I don't care. I hope they enable that because they would have someone that would hop on every once in a while to play games.
yep. So yeah, so a very exciting time. So, boys, that kind of wraps up the news of the week.
Whoop,
Let's
whoop.
get into what you smoking.
Who's going first, Woodsy? You gonna do your Q Fanatics?
Z. Have you been eating some smoked barbecue from restaurants? What you got?
Yeah, so there's this restaurant called Q Fanatics. They have 2 locations. The original's up in Champlin, Minnesota, the northwest suburb of Minneapolis.
Where's the other one?
South Minneapolis somewhere.
Oh, I might have to go check that out.
But went up there. I've been intending to go to it for probably a year and a half, and just like coincidentally, every time I've been like, "Oh, I'm going to go there for lunch today," it's like they're closed Monday and Tuesdays, and now in COVID on Wednesdays as well. And then on other weekdays, at least during COVID, they don't open up till 4 p.m. So it's like I never got up there on the weekend. So, but I was like this Saturday, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go get it. So went up, got it, brought it home. It was okay.
Oh,
It was featured on Diners.
really?
Yep.
Yep.
Guy Fieri was there. They had their little thing up there about him and everything, which is kind of cool. But I guess the one thing I don't know about, because I watched her bag them, and then when I got it home, I realized she didn't put the plastic bag in the brown bag with all the food, which were like the 5 different sauces I could have tried, which I was not fucking happy about.
And I'm assuming they make their own and blah blah blah, so that would have been the best part.
But
yeah,
the ribs were dry in part.
Now, how long of a drive is that from picking this up to going back to your house?
That's a good 40 minutes.
So you know where his house is? It's roughly between his
like you know where the bend is before you go over into downtown
Serums,
or across the bridge over to Anoka.
Yeah, so probably 3/4
right
way
there.
to Serums.
It's right over there by Serums. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering because, like with barbecue, and you know this because you smoke a lot. Like driving that shit for an hour, it's a long time for that shit to just be sitting in a box.
Drive. It's not horrible, you know.
I just mean for
I'm just
hot
driving
food
one
to
way
be in
with
the
it,
box.
Right. Well, it was still. It's like
I've been there a couple times. It's okay. Woods is spot out. It's not worth you seeking out the South Minneapolis place. It's probably better than if you want to go to like a Dave's or something. If you want like a barbecue place, but it's not like.
Well, Lauren, my wife, had commented on the fact that she's like, honestly, I think Famous Dave's is better, and I don't disagree with that. I like their pulled pork. Their pulled pork was the best thing that I had tried.
Wait, hang on. Which one do you want? The pulled pork from Q Fanatics was the best thing you tried?
Q Fanatics.
Okay, sorry.
That was the best thing. The brisket was a little dry. Granted, I got the flat, and I should have asked her to cut it from
The point.
the point, but I don't know if she would have. But in either case, it was kind of lean. It didn't have a lot of fat in it, which was disappointing.
Right.
It was soft, but that's really the best thing I could say for it.
Mm.
I don't know. It was okay. Some of the sides were good. Some of the sides weren't good.
Because what some of those
Mac and cheese
places
was
charge
good.
you
Coleslaw
for,
was bad.
what some of those
Bad,
places
well,
charge
yeah.
you for barbecue, like
They
to
do,
hear it's
yeah,
okay,
I don't
that's
remember if they do or
lame.
not, but it's not worth you seeking it out, D.
So like how much was that then, Woods, for your meal that you got? So you got
in
brisket,
line with
ribs,
what
a
you
few
pay for
sides.
games, right?
For everything was around $40.
Holy shit! And then they
Um,
have
You
it
and-
just be okay.
for you and Lauren, right? For
For me and Lauren, but
Well,
I
and
mean,
Julia.
that shit lasted me for like 3 days.
Oh,
I-
so
I
you
mean,
did get
I
quite a
didn't like-
bit.
Woods went H and the P on his order.
I didn't pig out on it. I didn't get a ton of food, but I didn't pig out on it either. So in any case, it was okay.
Okay.
It,
What's the
was better.
expected
It was
spend
better
if you
than
don't
it's definitely not. It's not the worst barbecue I've had. Not anywhere near the level of hype I guess I had built up for it though.
So
So-
since like for me, like Baker's is in that like acceptable range.
I like Baker's a lot
Like
more.
it's like I
I
don't.
like Baker's.
I
better.
go, hey, this is great for lunch, you know, but it's still. I know. I just wanted to put in context that it's not like I don't like every once in a while you're like, oh man, I could do some Baker's. It's not like a, oh my god, you guys have to go here, right?
Right. No, it's
Um,
not that. It's
And so it's
What-
even less.
What
It's
in our
below
conversation
that.
thus far has given you that impression?
right, exactly.
Well, no, I meant with Baker's. I feel that way about Baker's. Like it's the.
Oh,
it's,
I think
it's
Baker's
good.
is all right too.
Yeah, but like I don't go out of my way to be like, you guys need to go get this.
Yeah.
No. But it's
So
you're
D-
saying it's even below that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
So D, what you been smoking?
What have I been smoking? Yesterday, I successfully smoked a brisket. This comes on the heels of my previous brisket not going so well. So on my pellet smoker, which is supposed to be the easiest shit in the whole world, you guys know this because you were you were awake when I put it on. I started my grill up at like 1:30 in the morning the one night, and put the brisket on at like 2 to go to bed because I had like the one before that even went like 16 or 18 hours, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna put this on at 2. Well, I woke up at 8 or 9 and the fucker was at like 210, so it was like overdone after 6 hours at 225, and it blew my whole mind. I missed the whole wrap. There was no stall, there was no nothing. It was the worst. So it was nice. So again, just Costco, man, 45, 46 bucks for a 10, 11 pound brisket, which is like, I don't know if you guys have been looking at meat lately, but like even at Costco, man, like three ribeyes is 50 bucks. And so to still be able to get an entire brisket for 50, I feel like that's actually where my best money is for beef right now.
Yeah.
So I trimmed it up real nice. Like they said, you get rid of all the extra fat. The thing went on at about 8:30 in the morning. It was done at about, what was it last night, 9:30, 10?
Yep.
12, 13 hours. At 165 internal temperature. And I ran 2 probes yesterday, just in case, because I feel like that one time I had the probe and it must have just been like sitting, so Woods, you'll know this, in the point, there's like the layer of fat that goes right in between everything and the point. I feel like my probe was in there, and so then it was reading like way too high because all the fat was getting rendered in there.
Yeah.
So I made sure I ran 2 so that I could compare the two. So then you wrap it at 165. It goes back on until it's 203, 204. And then I actually, and you guys were with me last night too. I had no desire at 11 p.m. to get all that grease out of the paper and slice it up and make a giant mess in the fucking kitchen for the wife to find in the morning. So I just left it in the cooler. I actually sliced it up this morning, and I said, "You guys picks." Made myself a brisket egg sandwich this morning on an English muffin. It was fried the brisket up in the pan with a fried egg and just like a little cheddar cheese, and literally that was it. Goddamn delicious! It was amazing. And then and I do this with my pulled pork too. For anyone out there that does smoking, I don't know what it is, but when you smoke that pulled pork forever and you shred it and then you're storing it in the freezer, you're doing this or that or whatever. I find it the same with the brisket. If that thing just sits in a slow cooker on low for just like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get back warmed up and whatever with a little. I made a little the bouillon, the beef broth. Yep. So I made a beef broth to go in there, just like a little bit on the bottom to get some steam. Everything fucking loosens up and becomes so soft, and like you can shred it almost in there. And man, it is so fucking good. So we had it actually again tonight with mashed potatoes and everything, like the traditional dinner. Fuck, it was good. It was so good.
The boys eat it?
Oh yeah. Jake was all over it. So that was good. And then I always use my pan drippings to make gravy for anyone out there that does that. So I know Woods is all about that too. That's good stuff. So love
Very
it.
Cool. Yeah, nice. Very good picture. So throw some of those up on the old Raw Cuts.
Oh shit, I will do that.
So you can share with everyone else out there. So with that concludes our 33rd episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast. We thank you, the listener, for tuning in to all of our takes on video games. We hope you join us each and every week for more Raw Cuts Gaming. If you'd like to be part of the conversation and reach out and tell us what you hate us, we definitely encourage you to be part of the conversation. Just hit us up on the Twitter handle at Rockets Gaming. If you'd like to see our ugly bugs for whatever reason, check us out on YouTube, Rockets Gaming. And if you ever want to email us for whatever reason, rawcutsgaming@gmail.com. D, where can people get a hold of you?
I am on the Twitter machine at NakedGamer84, and I'm on the Twitches at noob with the zeros _naked gamer. And as we have all been discussing earlier, we're going to try and do a little better job at being online on the Twitches. So, Woodsy, where can people find you?
On the old Twitches, if they want to hear your hot takes, your Twitter beef mics, where can they do so?
Well, on Twitch, you can find me at Raw Cuts Gaming. And on Twitter, you can now find me at George Clooney Likes Fast Cars.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I would have changed my shit to it, but
it's taken. Is that taken?
String maximum, it went past it. So.
Oh.
What are you gonna do? No, Woods _or_ Wads with a Z.
And if you want to find me, your resident trophy hunting host, you can find me on Twitter at CJ Reindahl.
Peace out, everybody. Thanks for listening.